Hi, and welcome back. We're going to be doing some melody writing for level 8. It's not really that difficult, but we're going to name the key. They're going to give us a given melody, and we have to create a question phrase ending on an unstable scale degree. But then we're going to compose an answer phrase to create a contrasting period ending on a stable scale degree. And then you're going to name the cadences, authentic or half. And then you're going to finish off with your phrase marks. So let's follow these simple steps, and you're just going to see how easy this question really can be. Let's do this. So here we have a typical question. All right, so we're going to look at the key signature. We see a flat, so we're going to think to ourselves F major. But take a look at the first three. It's D, F, A. So who's F major related to? D minor, D, F, A. So let's write these out for D minor. So we're safer to say it's D minor, D, F, A, because you see the first three, they're identifying. See, D minor. So one is D, F, A. What's 4 notes up? D, E, F, G. G, B flat, D. 5 notes up. D, E, F, G, A. A, C, E. Now, remember, this is the 5, the 7, and the 2. What happens to the 7th of any minor? It needs to be raised, okay? So now let's come to the question. We want to work with the ending first. So you want to end with a stable degree. That's going to be either 1 or 3. So let's choose 1. And I'm putting the small I because it's a minor. And we look at the time signature. This is 6/8. So we are going to follow suit. We're going to use a dotted half note, and we're going to end on the D. All right? You want to end here either with a 7 or a 2. So let's pick 7. Okay, so you don't need to put that 7 there, but just for yourself, let's work with the ending first. So we're going to go C, and we're going to follow suit. I'm going to use this one because we're going to be melody writing, so I'm going to use this pattern here. So we're going to use the C. Now remember, what happens to any C? It gets raised. Now what we're writing here is a contrasting period. Okay, so we have to write it differently. Okay, what is that from what we see? Different from a parallel period where the first 2 measures were the same. We're going to have to change that. So we just worked with at least our last note so we know where we're going. Now remember this one here, let's come to the first phrase. Okay, the first phrase consists of 4 measures. It's going to end with a 7 or 2. So what comes after D? E. So let's use the E, all right, which is the 2. Unstable degrees, 7 or 2. And it's going to be dotted because it's 6/8. As you can see, we're using the 1, 4, 5 chords right now. We know that this is going to be the dominant chord. Let's try to keep this with notes that are in your tonic chord. And I'm going to look at this pattern here. And I'm going to try to use the same pattern. So what are the notes in a D minor? D, F, A. So now you can repeat that A, because remember, sometimes you can step in, or we can go opposite to what we see. So why don't we go just for ourselves? I'm going to try to keep this pattern. You see the 3/8, so it's 1, 2, 3, F, E, D, okay? And then I can go back up to F, because I can use D, F. Okay, I'm going to use that pattern, making sure it counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're coming into the dominant one. Okay, so we use the 1, 5, which we know what type of cadence is that when it's a 1, 5. When it ends on the dominant, it is a half cadence, okay? Now, because this is a contrasting period, we need to change this around. So the best way to sometimes do that is to invert. This we knew was everything to do with a 1 chord. All right, look at G, B flat. This was most likely a 4 chord. How we want to end is a 5, 1, okay? And this is going to be minor. So we're going to use, let's just invert this. So these are the letters we're going to use, DFA. So let's go F. I'm going to just invert what they have here, but I'm going to use this pattern. Or we can even use the pattern they have there. Well, let's use that pattern. F, E, D. Okay, so let's use exactly what they have, not changing the melody in itself. Okay, and then I'm going to go backwards. See, this is F, E, D. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go D, E, F. So this is the way to create a contrasting period, by inverting what we see. And of course, yours is going to be nicer. What was in the 4 chords? We can, let's go backwards. Let's invert this. Instead of G, A, B, because I used the notes that are in the 4 chord, in that key, from that key. So I'm going to go, remember, we can also, they like you to step up, but doesn't, that is a good thing to try to do, to step in. That's when you want to start using passing tones, but let's just keep this simple right now. B, A, G, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so I'm going to, let me go down to a D if I want. Because G, there's your B flat, there's your G. And I'm going to use this quarter note, 8th note. Now the notes that are in the dominant, it's always best to come down to your leading note. Okay, just for sounding wise. So we can use, I can use the C, or I can go, I'm going to try to use this pattern, A, G, F, okay, and let's use the E. And this was going to be the 8th, and that's going to be the quarter. How does that sound? Am I too low there? This line. See? So it's going to work. We have to remember to put our phrase marks. So what do we do here? We created a contrasting period and we inverted what we saw. We just remember this kind of cadence is this now. When we end on the 1, 5-1 is called an authentic. Okay? And that's how you do that. All right, so here's another question. We look at the key signature. Now we forgot to put the key signature in the other one we just did, so we have to remember that. So this is an F sharp. What comes after F in the alphabet? G. G major. So the first triad would be G, B, D. Well, we just see a G. So who's G major related to? E minor. E, G, B, and E minor. These notes that are coming in like this, they're called passing tones. And they're always, when it's a skip, they just pass, okay, into the actual name of the chord. So we use passing tones just to create some variety. You don't want to have the whole song just skipping notes. So now let's write in the 1, 4, 5 chords. Sharp. Remember, this is 5, 7, 2. What happens to any 7th of a minor? We need to raise it. So let's now work at the end. We determined it's E minor. There's 3 beats in a bar. So we're going to end with a stable degree. So it's going to be the 1. Okay, let's use the tonic. You can use 1 or 3, are both considered stable. But we're going to use the tonic, E. I'm going to follow suit with the time signature. Now remember here how we want to lead into the tonic note? You want to step up or step down? Well, let's go from 7 to 1, all right? So what comes before E in the alphabet? D. And I'm going to use the same pattern. Da, da, da. You know, dot quarter, 1/8 to a quarter. So we're going to use the quarter and we need to raise it. Remember that. You're in a minor key. So this is going to be your 5-1. Let's work on the first phrase. So the first phrase is going to end on a 2 or a 7, an unstable degree. Let's pick 2. Who's the second note to E? F. So let's pick that F, following suit with the time signature. So now this whole measure was done in the tonic. A, C, E. See, these are identifying AC with a passing tone. So we knew this was a 4. We want to end, let's go now, 1, 5. We know when it's an unstable degree, it's going to be identifying the dominant chord. What kind of cadence is that? A half cadence. All right? So what's an EGB? So I can either repeat what I saw there, or let's go backwards. G, we're creating our melody, and we're going to try to use, I'm not going to be using a passing tone into the E, using, remember, identifying your time signature. Okay? Because we're in a contrasting period, we need to be different than how it was for the parallel period. So let's invert. This started on the E. Let's go G, F, E. Okay, following, I'm going to follow suit with what they have there, so it sounds the same. The 4 chord, A, C, E. Okay, so we can do, we can either go A, let's go G, E. I'm going to skip there, okay? And that, so you see how I'm just picking notes that are there, and A and E, and I had, this is not really passing, this is skipping, but it's going to sound okay. What we're not wanting to do is to create augmented intervals or to be jumping so far away from each other. We want to create something that would be simple to play and is going to make sense. We're going to come down to the dominant, B, D, F. Well, I had the E, F, so let's go F and G, or I can just do both Fs, F, F, and remember, we want to come down to the leading tone, all right? And you're gonna learn that later, because sometimes when we go up, depending on what note we're using, we could, and if we're in a minor key, create augmented intervals, and you don't want to do that. So it's best to come down into the leading tone, and you see now we came up into the tonic. What kind of cadence did we create? When it's 5-1, we created an authentic. And what did we forget? We have to put our phrase marks. Well, let's just quickly hear how this sounds. Good enough. We're going to look at the key signature, E flat major, but we see an accidental. And most of these questions in level 8 music writing will most likely be in the minor key. At any rate, what comes after B, C? So E flat major is related to C minor, C, E. So it's identifying the C minor chord, the first. So we're safe to say it's C minor, plus the accidental is a giveaway. So let's write these out. C, E, G, 4, C, D, E, F, F, A flat, C, what's 5? C, D, E, F, G, G, now it's a B flat D, right? But this is 5, 7, 2, the 5th, the 7th, and the 2nd note. What happens to any 7th of a minor? We raise a flat by making it a natural. Okay, let's come to the ending. There's 4 beats in a bar. C means common time. So following suit, we need to end on a stable degree. Let's take the C. And I see most of the notes are higher up, so I'm going to take the higher up. Again, remember, we can come down into the note from the 7th or the 2nd. Okay, so this time, let's take the 2nd. Okay, so let's take it from the D. And I'm going to use that pattern. Da, 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 da. So D. So I went from above to the C, okay? And you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to write that one for the exam, but it's good, you know, for yourself at any rate. Let's go to the first phrase. Unstable degree, 2 or 7. Well, this time let's take the 7. So we know the 7th note was a B natural, okay? Now, we can see here that this was the 1 chord, C, E, G, D, E. This was the 5 chord. This is going to be the dominant because the 7th or the 2nd are going to be in the dominant chord. All right, so this is going to be 5. So we're going to pick a 1 here because otherwise it's going to be a root chord, dominant, dominant, dominant. So, right, trying to change up. So 1-5. You could have taken 4-5 if you like, but let's do 1-5. Okay, so the notes C, E flat, G. So I can actually step up from this one, and I'm going to go right C, D, E. Let's see. C, D, E, D. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm going to take that half, right? 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay. Now, remember, we have to make this different. So because this was the 1, we have to end on 1, and this is going to be a dominant section. So when it ends on the dominant, we know it's a half cadence. Okay, and when it ends on 5 to 1, we know that it's an authentic cadence. So that's what we're working towards anyways, okay? So I'm going to invert this. I'm going to keep this pattern that they have there, and I'm just going to go down using passing tones as well. We talked about that, you see, from E to C, the D was passing. Let's take it from C to E, okay? So I just inverted those. Now, because this is a 5, and I don't want 1, 5, 5, you could if you want, but let's take the 4, and I want to show you something anyway. So what are the 3 notes and then the 4 chord, as we saw, F, A flat, C. So because I'm at the C, I'm going to take the C, all right? And I'm going to go down. I'm doing this, okay? I'm just writing it. I'm going to just write it like that. And then I'm going to take this pattern with the half. So 1 and 2 and back to C. But remember, because this is the 7th, right? The B, I'm passing, you see? I need to raise that. Okay, so what I'm doing is this. Now what's going to happen? Because that's an A flat. Remember this, and I'm from this C to B, we're coming up from the, from the top to the leading tone. That's fine. Remember we were talking about that? But now when I'm going to A flat to B natural, it creates an augmented second. So this is when you can either change the notes around to avoid this. You can make that like the melodic part. Make it the melodic scale. So you don't have any augmented chord notes in between each other. So augmented seconds and fourths are frowned upon, and we want to avoid those. So the only way you could do that, I could have went C, B, C, D, and changed that around. So remember, when you're coming up into that B natural, because that B natural is there again, you would have created an A flat to B natural as an augmented second. So I made it like the melodic scale, like the natural minor, not the natural minor, but the melodic scale where the 6th and 7th are raised on the way up, right? So being up. Anyways, 5. What are the 5th? G, B, D. So let's take, we can even change the pattern here. Okay, I don't have to follow exactly. I'm going to take quarter notes. I'm going to go B, C. And that had to be natural. Okay, and I changed the pattern a bit. I'm going to put my phrase marks. So the only thing I really wanted to bring you attention to was the augmented interval. If you had not put that the natural sign, there would have been an A flat to a B natural. And that would have created an augmented interval. So how does it sound? That's all you have to do. And like I said, you could keep that simpler. You could have just changed all this, you want to go C, D, E, D. You could have done that. So what they're looking for in this exam is that you understand a contrasting period, you understanding your stable and unstable degrees. Work these steps and you will not have a problem.